You're listening to the Whole Hog Sports Podcast. And now, here's your host, Matt Jones.
Razorbacks overcame a little bit of a tough start to the weekend against UT-Arlington, ends up winning 2 out of 3. Bubba Carpenter here in studio with me. Today's baseball podcast brought to you by H&R Tire and Auto. They're a third-generation family-owned business serving Northwest Arkansas since 1976. Just like great baseball programs, H&R is built on consistency, trust, and doing the right things the right way with no shortcuts and no gimmicks. Arkansas lost 4-3 on Friday. They bounced back. They win 9-0 on Saturday and 11-1 in 7 innings yesterday. Bubba, the pitching is really good for this baseball team. You think about, like even yesterday, they gave up 1 run, but it was an unearned run. That's, I think, 4 times in 6 games now where they haven't given up an earned run in a game. Offense, continues to kind of be hit or miss, but I think there were positive signs, I guess, offensively as the weekend went on. I really thought what Carson Brumbaugh did yesterday with 2 doubles, a sac fly, even the ground out that he had, everything was hit to the opposite side or up the middle. And I don't think it was just him. I think there was a real emphasis put on that this weekend. And it just seemed like the lineup that they rolled out the last couple of days, and maybe UT-Arlington's pitching has something to do with this, but that there was a lot to be optimistic about moving forward.
I think so. To your point about the pitching, I'm looking at the stats right now. It's pretty impressive, holding opponents to a 184 average. Just guys are just getting it done. They're going out there, 137 strikeouts, 30 walks. And the thing is they've been so good that there's a lot of guys we're not getting to see that, that we want to see get out there and pitch. But they've been so efficient we haven't really needed to. Yeah. And on Brumbaugh, you can see he kind of changed his swing direction, it looked like yesterday. He's been pulling off that slider, rolling over to shortstop. Yesterday, I want to say his first 2 doubles were both on sliders. Mm-hmm. And then, but one of my favorite swings was his 3rd or 4th at bat. Might have been his 4th at bat. It was his 3rd at bat. Got a first pitch fastball up above the belt, inner third, and boy, he came unloaded on it and just missed it. If it's down 3 inches, I mean, he hammers that ball probably off the scoreboard. But you can see, he got that infield hit the day before, which was huge, and you can see. I'm telling you, he's gonna play baseball for a long time. I said it. I've said it multiple times. I think he's a big league shortstop down the road. I came up with Derek Jeter, and I watched him struggle. In Double-A, he got the bat knocked out of his hand, and played okay defense. Struggled with defense early on, but he got stronger and turned out to be a pretty good player. But I'm not comparing Brumbaugh to Jeter yet. But I'm just saying the tools are all there, and so I'm excited.
I can't remember exactly how he said it, but I asked him yesterday about that infield hit that he got in his last at-bat Saturday, and if it helped get the monkey off his back. And he said, "Yeah, it was like the biggest hit I've had in my career," or something like that.
Well, it's frustrating, and I feel sorry for these guys early on. And you and I talked about it last week. When you're looking at the scoreboard and you're seeing 150 or 1 whatever,
he was 091.
Yeah, ooh, that's even worse.
Yeah,
because there's the Mendoza line. I don't know what you call. What's the 100 line when you get under that?
Not playing a lot of times. Sitting on the bench.
Soccer season?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, it happens early on. It can turn into a mental thing, and that's what you got to not let it do. And that's, I do see – I watch Nate Thompson a lot, and I see Nate pull guys over to the side sometimes after a game, and they'll talk. And I think that's really cool because a lot of times your hitting coach is psychologist. I mean really, that's the big part of it. A lot, some of it's physical, but when it comes to hitting at this level, I mean, a lot of it's right there. It's mental, and so if you're a good hitting coach, you're kind of coaching from the inside out, understanding what's inside that guy's head, and so you're really more of a psychologist than a hitting coach.
Isn't it weird? And Brumbaugh hadn't put a lot of great swings on the ball before he got that hit, and so it's a little bit different than Ryder Helfrich. But I'm going to use both of them as an example. Brumbaugh gets the infield hit. And it just seems like he can take a deep breath. He can exhale, and maybe exhale too. But with Helfrich, he had so many tough luck outs. Like I think Friday he had a ground ball, 108 out, 105 out, he had some hard hit lineouts, some stuff to to the outfield, flyouts and whatnot. His first hit of the weekend is probably the ball that he puts in play with his weakest swing, just like a real soft little line drive up the middle, but it gets through. And then it's like things really start clicking with him. Yesterday he goes 3 for 3, hitting the ball hard all over the ballpark, but hitting it, where they ain't. Takes another walk. He's doing really well, by the way, taking his walks this year. That's been something I've been real impressed with him. But it's so weird how, like, that one, that one little hit that it's like, well, that wasn't, not that it's, it wasn't as impressive, I guess, maybe as other swings, but it can really, I don't know, it feels like maybe it can click and make everything seem to work right.
Yeah, baseball's a crazy game. I know a lot of people get so caught up in batting average, and sometimes it drives me crazy when a guy goes 0 for 4, but he hits 3 balls on the screws, maybe 4, and people are like, oh, he went 0 for 4, he's struggling. No, he's not. Or maybe he gets jammed and flares one to right, rolls over one to the left side, beats him out. He's 2 for 2, and he's hot at the plate. I mean, I know the Yankees put a system in a few years ago. I was talking to Jared Wagner about it a couple years ago. It's called Hit FX. It takes batting average completely out of it. It's all about pitches, getting good pitches to swing at. Hitting them hard, and your launch angles factored in. They don't want hard ground balls. They want line drive, fly balls. It factors into a lot more things than just – it takes batting average basically out of the equation. And I think they've kind of gotten away from that because I think it kind of started messing with some of the hitters where they're worried so much about exit velo that they're not – they're striking out and doing some stuff. So, but, yeah, batting average, especially early in a season, doesn't tell the whole story. Actually, I think – in the course of a season, a lot of times batting average doesn't tell the full story. But boy, Ryder Helfrich's had some. He's had some tough love. He's hit a ton of balls really hard right at him.
He could easily be hitting 400 right now. It feels like. I mean, with the way, and that's always the deal. We talked about this last week. I think he was hitting 294 at the time, and I said that's going to come up because he's barreling up the ball way too well for him to continue to. Every at bat, have a hard luck out.
Well, you think about Friday, Matt, we still hit 7 balls over 100 miles an hour. Now, a few of them were off that guy that came in relief. And, I feel like people were in panic mode after Friday's game. I'm like, look, that dude had a really good start against us. I mean, he hit his spots. He didn't leave very many balls. If you look, I don't know if you're able to see TrackMan where you're at, but – he didn't leave very many balls. Everything he was on the corners,
everything around
the top, the bottom, the corners. You could tip your hat sometimes.
And Scott Kennedy was the umpire, and Scott Kennedy will give you the low strike. And Dygert was taking advantage of that, a lot of times, helping him get ahead in counts.
And he was giving him a little bit off the plate too, and he was hitting that spot, and it's tough for a hitter. Now, we did have a few pitches over the middle of the plate that we were late on. You can't be late on those, but man, I think people were in panic mode. I'm like, look, just relax. This guy dealt today, and you tip your hat to the pitcher.
Yeah, and I think people were in panic mode too because Arkansas State hadn't gone well. Yeah, I know that. I think we talked about this last week. I just wonder how much the illness that was going through the clubhouse, because it's not so much like Kozel, he played and he was sick, and he still got a couple of hits against Kalen Dygert. But you know how this goes. It's just sometimes a difference in a game. I'm not saying it's the only difference, but a difference can be just like the energy in the dugout. And I can only imagine whenever, you got everybody, they're either sick or they're coming off something, they're still on their antibiotics or whatever, like where the energy in the dugout, it just felt like for a few days last week, it was pretty low. And I don't necessarily think that was how the team feels about itself. I really think that it might have just been the fact that, you got flu and strep going through there, and that crap takes a while to get over.
It does, and baseball players are creatures of habit. So when you're not feeling good, you kind of get out of your routine. You get out of your routine, it affects your play. But back on the hitting, we'll probably break the games down in a minute, but the thing that struck me was yesterday we hit 16 balls over 100 miles an hour.
There's a bunch, yeah.
So, the threshold And I feel like almost the threshold for a hard hit ball is 95. It feels like we almost need to raise that to 100 because these guys are so good and so strong.
It's almost like when a guy hits at 93, 94 now, you say, wow, he missed that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But think of 16 balls over 100. We had 39 plate appearances. Well, we had 32 official plate appearances. I think we had 6 walks, 1 hit batter. So we had 36 official plate appearances. Think about that. Half our plate appearances, we hit the ball over 100 miles an hour.
It's amazing.
That's getting it done at the plate. That's going up there and being ready. Some of them were first pitch fastballs that we smoked. Others were balls deep in the count. We waited. We didn't swing at the borderline pitch. We got pitches in our zone. When we did, we didn't miss it. It's fun to watch.
8 strikeouts over the last 2 days, and the strikeouts have been an issue for this team. And again, I don't know that what UT-Arlington was throwing out there the last 2 days, if it was anything remotely similar. You look at the numbers, and it wasn't similar to Dygert on that first day. But again, you just think about things you can kind of carry with you into future games. And I think the fact that they were cutting down on the strikeouts and just doing, like I think about a couple of at-bats yesterday where a guy's at second base, nobody out, they advance the base runner with a ground out to the right side. Just doing things to kind of continue to move the offense forward. I felt like that got better over the last couple of days.
Oh, I think so. I love Sousa's at bat where he hit a ball to the right side, got it, moved the runner over, and Brumble hit sac fly. I mean, you love those type of unselfish team at bats. That's a team at bat, and there's a lot of teams you don't see do that. And I think I like watching team execute like that, and it makes you feel good when you roll over a ball, you move the runner, next guy hits sac fly. It makes you feel good, because you did your job and it paid off. And I talked to Ryder yesterday just about the at bats and everything, and. Off the record, before we started the interview, I asked him about the pitchers that we saw yesterday. We saw several guys. Their scouting report was 92 to 95 or 93 to 96. So we saw more of kind of SEC caliber fastballs, and we were on them. And when I interview a guy off the record, I don't say what he says, but I think that had something to do with it. I think. You see guys throwing 93 to 96, your eyes light up a little bit, and you just got a little more and versus that guy throwing 86, 87, sinking it at the bottom of the zone, flipping a slider up there. Those guys are frustrating. So I think it's a good sign. We started seeing more guys like we're going to see in the SEC. Do they have SEC stuff? Probably not. But, I mean, they had good stuff. They had good arms.
Yeah.
They had good arms. I guess they don't not good pitchers. They're just good arms that eventually will be good pitchers. They'll probably end up somewhere else.
Like Evans yesterday, was he throwing about 94, 96?
Yeah.
Fastball?
Yeah. Good stuff.
But it's kind of a flat fastball, too. And you saw a few times where, I think about Kozel and Stewart. They both really hammered one.
Yeah, and even Damian Reese, you think about the ball he hit the center yesterday. I say it was 102-32, maybe 103-32 to center. Any other day, every other day of the week, that's been off the halfway up the batter's eye. Yeah. It got caught.
The wind
wind kind of knocked it down. Off the bat, I thought it was gone. But yeah, he kind of got robbed there. But he's still a really good swing. But yeah, I think that's something to be said about our offense. We were seeing more fastballs or just better caliber pitching, I guess.
Like with Dygert, this happens, I don't know, once, twice, maybe even 3 times a year, where a guy comes in and he just pitches and he makes you look silly. But it's for the same reasons I feel like him from the right side that Colin Fisher's had so much success this year. It's just they're so different than what you're accustomed to seeing, in terms of this level of baseball.
Right.
And if you get that guy who can, he's hitting his spots, he's got more than just a couple of pitches. He can mix and match. It makes such a huge difference. And again, I think that Colin Fisher is like maybe a little bit more advanced because he's got a little bit better velocity, I think, on some of his pitches than a Kalen Dygert. It just that's what I was thinking the whole day. It's like Arkansas's getting a taste of what some of these other teams have been seeing on Sunday.
Yeah, you're right. And thing that makes Collins so dangerous, he has 4 pitches. He can throw for a strike anytime. And I think him and Ryder work so well together. And I actually mentioned it to Ryder yesterday in the post-game interview is every pitcher that I've talked to mentions Ryder. And I think that says a lot. They all give him credit for their success. I think that's awesome.
They need to give him a day off. He's caught every game so far. Kleiman and Rutenbar both were hurt. Or, they both were sick last week. When they played the double midweek, and I think that in a normal world, or especially if you don't lose the first game, Ryder probably gets one of those 2 days off. They got to give him a day off. I guess that's my main thought here.
Yeah, I probably do because it's February. Well, now it's March, but I don't think Ryder wants a day off. I'd like to hear that conversation.
Remember when he got hurt? He got hurt in the fall.
Yeah.
And Wernes told me this. He said, I think kind of in the back of our minds, we thought that was kind of a blessing in disguise because it was going to be hard to take him out of those scrimmages.
Right.
But we needed to be able to get him out so that we could get our eyes on the other catchers. He doesn't. Like you're going to have to make the decision for him. If you go and ask him, hey, you need a day off? No, I'm good. Right?
No, I agree. I mean, it's going to be tough to take him out of the lineup. I mean, he just wants to play. He's just tough, gritty. Yeah. I love watching him play.
Yeah, he's hitting the ball really well. Southern Loft believes your home should reflect your unique personality. That's why they offer a wide variety of stylish furniture. It's perfect for any taste, whether you're looking for a new sofa for the living room, a sleek dining table for your kitchen. They've got just what you need when you're looking for that piece of furniture that reflects you. Visit Southern Loft, 3155 North College Avenue in Fayetteville, or call 479-856-6100. The lineup looked different the last 2 days. They took Pompey out, put Zach Stewart in. Not only put Zach Stewart in, but put him in right field and moved Kuhio Aloy to DH. They're playing Nolan Souza now at third base. What have you thought about all the changes that were made over the last couple of days? Because it seems like they worked.
Well, it looked good on paper.
Yeah.
I think Zach. I think it's going to be hard to get him out of the lineup. He's a veteran left-handed bat. Don't know how he hits lefties yet. Kind of the jury's still out. I haven't seen his splits. Too early to really get into splits, but don't know how he handles lefties. But against righties, he's dangerous. I mean, the ball he hit the center field through the wind yesterday that went out was pretty impressive. I just like the way he battles up there. He doesn't ever – you feel like he's always going to give you a quality at bat. He's going to foul off pitches. Yep. He's going to swing on his terms, not on the pitcher's terms, and I like that about a hitter.
He's hit 3 home runs this year. 2 of them have been in long at-bats where he's fouled off like 3, 4, 5 pitches, including the one yesterday.
Yeah, no, I like that. So I think he's but you ask about the lineup, you look at it and you just go Ruiz, Kojal, Helfrich, Aloy, Robinette, Stewart, New, Souza. That's a good lineup.
It's a lot of potential.
That's that's some athletic dudes that it's just a good lineup. I don't know. I like it. I still like it. Now, we'll see what happens. I mean, you never know till you really get into SEC. But I like them. Not only that, they all play good defense. I think Stewart. Obviously, we're a little bit better defensively with Zach in right field, but Cahill's gotten better. He took some good routes this weekend to the ball. So, yeah, either way, you're good.
And there's something to be said for a lineup that it's not clicking for them right out of the gate, and they kind of have to work for it. And I don't know. I feel like that can benefit a team down the road when it's not always pretty.
Yeah, you don't want it to be butterflies and rainbows in February. I mean, you want to have to grind out some wins. It's okay to lose a little bit. Sometimes you got to lose in February or early March to win in June.
It's like last year. What did they start? What was their record like? I mean, it was an insane record to start the season, like 24-2 or something. I can't remember.
I want to say I read somewhere. It was 24-1.
24-1.
Now maybe I'm wrong, but I could have swore. It seems like I read that.
Yeah, I mean, but point being, they got off to a great start last season, and I don't know. I feel like last year, a lot of what you're seeing, and again, the strikeouts and things that had to get better. But I feel like a lot of the I think your word earlier was panic that you've heard the alarms sounding over the last week or so has really kind of been viewing this team through the prism of what you saw last year. And, this isn't last year's team. You don't have the Golden Spike. I don't think you have the Golden Spikes Award winner on the team. I don't think this team was ever going to be as good offensively as last season's team was. I mean, you had 2 first-round draft picks, position players last year. When has that ever happened at Arkansas? It's never happened. I can tell you, it's never happened. And you had maybe a third one in Ryder Helfrich.
Yeah.
Depending on how he goes in the draft this year. It's just a different team, and I think that's always the LSU's going through that a little bit right now too, where their offense doesn't look nearly as good as last year's did. Well, that was a national championship team, that you're trying to live up to their expectations. That's always the I don't know. It's any sport. That's always the difficulty when you're following a really great team. Is the next year you can be good, you just may not be as good as that team, and the expectations are that you're never going to have a dip, I guess.
Well, to your point, man, last year's team, you knew early on that team was special. Like every guy they brought in, I mean, it was the right guy for that spot. And it doesn't happen very often because you don't know till you get a guy in here. I mean, you think you know what you're getting, or you wouldn't bring him in, but you don't always know how a guy's going to adapt to SEC baseball. But do you think about I look at Charles Davalon. He went from a guy that no one really wanted. He sent out hundreds of emails, he basically begged someone to take him. He ends up in Florida for a year, and then we get him, and look at him, first-round pick. I mean, that's baseball. That's why you got to love baseball. You can
develop.
You can be as good as you want to be if you put in the work. And no, they hit on everyone. So it's hard not to compare them to last year's team, but you can't do that because this is a totally different year. That's why sometimes we'll go in and we'll play and say, oh well, we're such and such record against this team. Well, that doesn't matter because this is a new year, a new team. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like Arkansas State last week. I mean, if you look at Arkansas's all-time record against Arkansas State, you would think, and the results, hey, why are they having trouble with this team? Well, that's a different team. They've got a new coach, and even UT-Arlington, I don't know how they're going to end up in the WAC, but you look at their games this year, like they've got their heart broke a few times.
Yeah.
Games where they thought they had it, or they just like time ran out on them, or whatever. Their run differential, they've lost 8 games, I think now, is it? I think 8 games. But their run differential is like less than 2 runs per game, which tells you they're playing a lot of close games. And that's even with a couple of blowout losses to Arkansas. I think that, I think the teams they're playing, I don't know if they're going to NCAA tournament teams, but I think that they're more competitive than their record might suggest.
Yeah, like a lot of times – before a game, Phil will be reading off stats about a team. They're such and such. Their pitchers have done this or done that. And I'll be like, yeah, but they haven't faced a Razorback offense yet. So I always view every game's different. And I don't know.
You said that about Murray State last year too. I give you a lot of credit, by the way. You were saying that for 2 days before Gage. He didn't say he was going to throw a no-hitter. If you did, I would have I've written a story about it or something. But you knew that he was going to overwhelm that lineup. I've thought about that several times. Every time I think about the no-hitter, I think about you calling that for 2 days. Like, hey, Arkansas is going to be fine.
Yeah. Well, the part of that is Gage Wood. I mean, how can you not bet against Gage Wood? So that was an easy one.
Going back to last year's team for a second, something I was thinking while you were talking a minute ago. I talked to Mike Silva last week before the series, and he had been at Nichols, and they had beaten LSU in 23 when LSU had Skeens and Dylan Cruz and Tommy White and that whole group that won the national championship for the first time under Jay Johnson. And he said that the Arkansas team last year he thought was better top to bottom than that 2023 LSU national championship group. And as he was telling me about that, I just had this thought. It's like, I knew the team was good last year, but it feels like the further we get away from that team, and again, I think some of this is influenced by, some of the offensive struggles we've seen this year and that tendency, like I said, to compare teams, you just appreciate more what they had last year, especially when you hear a coach like that give them praise like that.
Right. I mean, it's good to hear. But do you think of this year's team? We're not going to hit 127 home runs, I don't think, this year.
I don't think, no.
But we don't have to because look at our pitching. I mean, our pitching's really good. And, there's guys that aren't even getting out on the field. Now, of course, we haven't got into SEC play yet, Matt. But, man, I love some of our guys. I thought Brissy looked really good when he came in. Fastball 95, 96. But it had like an extra life. Like he was just blowing those guys away. It was 95, 96, but it almost looked like 101. It was crazy.
The Steel Eves looked good again. Steel Eves still has not given up an earned run this year. And you have to mention what happened against Texas Tech with him because he came in. I think he hit a guy in the helmet and walked somebody or gave up a hit or something. But those weren't his runs. Those were runners that he had inherited from Cooper Dossett. Eves looks really, really good right now. I mean, he had the hiccups during the preseason where it's like, is this going to be okay? He's leaving the ball up and guys were hammering it. But so far through these outings that he's had, he's looked awfully good out of the bullpen.
Yeah. To me, it looks like Steele would be a really uncomfortable at bat for a righty. That sinker-slider combination. Even lefties throwing that slider, backlegging that slider in or throwing the two-seam away. Plus, he's throwing so much harder now. He's hitting 95, 96. He's looked good.
Let's talk about starting pitching because Gabe Gackle he got hit around the ballpark a little bit on Friday. What have you seen from him and what's got to get better?
Well, go to the first inning. He falls behind the leadoff man, 2-0, had to throw a fastball. Guy's a good hitter, too. What was his name? Knott.
Preston Knott.
Yeah, a little short guy. They list him at 5'8", but I don't think he's 5'8", but it didn't matter. It's right here. It's all that counts. So he hits the ball down the right field line. Next guy hits I want to say it was a slider, maybe a fastball off the plate, poked it to right. Didn't hit it real hard, base hit. Then the next guy hits a ground ball down the right field line just out of the reach of Robinette. Kind of unlucky right there. The base hit to right wasn't even a strike. It was off the plate, the second hit, the two-hole hitter. It was – I don't think it was bad. I just think he got off to a couple of first guy just 2-0 fastball. Then Pompey made a good play, though. Remember the play Pompey made it third, moving to his left, threw home, got the out at home, kept him from scoring another run. But he gave up 2 in the first inning. I didn't think he was bad. I just think it's like when he made a mistake, they hit it where we weren't. So, I don't see anything into it. The one thing that I worry a little bit about, I don't really worry, I wonder. So the home run the guy hit to left, what was it, the 6th inning?
Yes.
It was a fastball kind of up and in, and it was 92 miles an hour. And I don't know that he's got a pitch that's 92. I don't know if he's trying to run a two-seam in or if that's maybe just – I don't know. It was 92 miles an hour, though. If it's 95, 96, let's just say it's 95, he doesn't get to it. Big difference in 92 and 95. So I kind of wonder about that pitch, and I'd love to ask Matt Hobbs about it. Didn't get a chance to talk to him, but I'm just curious about that.
He's got really good stuff, but that I think that question with him still lingers. Is he best pitching in a starting role, or is he best pitching in relief? Because he's been so doggone good in relief for them the last 2 years. I don't know if it's a comfort thing. And I talked to Hobbs about it before the season. He said, I don't think it mattered last year early if he was pitching out of the bullpen or if he was starting. He just wasn't. He just was missing his spots. His command wasn't great. So I don't know. If you get Hunter Dietz continue to pitch like he is on Saturday, the question's going to have to, and maybe Gackle comes out this next week and he puts all this, talk to rest. But, I think Dietz, like what he's given them on Saturday, that looks like Friday stuff to me. And, hey, we all know that a rotation, the next rotation that stays the same from the opening weekend to the last weekend will be the first. It's just not something that happens a whole lot. There's always a little bit of a work in progress. But, Well, that's a thought that I've had coming out of this weekend is, Dietz, it looks like Friday stuff to me.
Yeah, definitely it looked like that on Saturday. I mean, with his fastball, I like what he said about using his fastball more.
You could tell against Xavier he was not happy with his fastball. And, I mean, we saw it. Cutter.
I don't know the percentages. He went way more to that cutter.
Well, he had 9 strikeouts, and all 9 of them were on off-speed pitches. I think 6 of them were on cutters, 2 on changeups, and 1 on a curveball. But because I asked him afterward the other day, I said, you seemed like you weren't pleased with your fastball last week, and he said that's accurate.
I think so. I talk about hitters all the time. If you're not ready for the fastball, you're not ready to hit. And I think with pitchers, if you're not throwing your fastball, if you're not commanding your fastball, or just getting it around the plate, you're obviously your pitches aren't going to be effective. But when your fastball's on, that sets up all your other pitches. Like if his fastball's on, that makes his cutter so much better. It makes that curveball so much better. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought he looked awesome.
I did too. I mean, I thought it's good to see for him just being able to have the success that everybody, number one, expects you to have, but that you yourself know you're capable of doing it. It just has taken a little while for that to, manifest itself in a game.
Just think, though, he's still, innings-wise, he's still a freshman, basically. Yeah. I mean,
he almost doubled his innings Saturday. Like, he had thrown 7 2/3 career innings coming into the game. He threw 7 on Saturday. It's amazing.
Yeah, that is. That's crazy.
He said he had a great quote afterward. He said that after Oklahoma State, because coming into the year he'd thrown 1 2/3, or TCU. I'm sorry, TCU down in Arlington. He said that Ryder Helfrich told him, "Well, you doubled your innings tonight," and then he threw 4 against Xavier. Well, you doubled your innings again. And he said, "I don't know how I'm going to double what I did today." 7 innings. Didn't you had a teammate go like 10 innings or 11 innings in a game? Was it Phillips Stidham?
Yeah, Stidham.
At A&M?
Yeah, at A&M. It was a 17-inning game. 16 inning. 17 innings, something like that.
A lot.
It was a lot of innings. Yeah, he went
like
and he was our
or so?
He was our closer. But he was a submarine guy, rubber arm.
Yeah.
Kind of like Steele Eves. He could throw. He could throw every day. And a lot of times he did. He would close out 3 games on a weekend.
Or Dominic Taccolini. He had like a 10-inning shutout against Kentucky. That was a real impressive game.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's throwing 14 innings, especially not when you throw 95, 96 the way that Dietz does. But, boy, I'm telling you, I'm real impressed with him. And then, to your point about it was kind of like the inverse of that Xavier start for Colin Fisher yesterday. He said that he didn't feel like he had his off-speed stuff early in the game, was having to really rely on his fastball. And he said after about the 3rd inning, and you could actually you could sense this, I felt like in the ballpark. It felt like about the 4th inning, okay, he's starting to kind of get into that cruise control mode. And he ends up pitching well, no earned runs, 5 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Dave Van Horn said it wasn't great. He said we've seen great with him, but it was good. It's
pretty impressive. You look at his line and say, okay, well, he wasn't as good as he normally is, but I mean, he was still really good. I thought. I like the stats. You texted me some stats that were pretty incredible.
What'd I say? I said through 3 starts, he hasn't allowed an earned run. His WHIP is 0.53, which is outstanding, and 13.1 strikeouts per 9 innings is what he's doing. Corey Stewart, who runs the Stu Hog YouTube account, he said something yesterday. I think Fisher, it's like maybe 3rd or 4th most innings without an earned run to start a season that Arkansas had during the Van Horn era, and most of the others were during the dead bat era, that 2011, 2013, 2014 range when scoring was way down across college baseball. So I think that what he's doing is really, really impressive.
No, it is. It's so nice to have him on a Sunday. And just knowing what you're going to get out of your Sunday guy.
Because, Sunday, I really agree with Van Horn because he said this a lot of times. Like, Sunday's the most important game of the series. It doesn't matter if you're 2-0, 1-1, 0-2. You're either trying to sweep, you're trying to win the series, you're trying to keep from getting swept. And that's like all 3 of those scenarios are really big to a baseball team.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Are you thinking rotation-wise? Well, let's don't even go there. It's
Okay.
early.
Yeah, I think you got to get through. You got to get through Stetson this next week. Maybe even Mississippi State. It feels like I don't think that they ever want to change up the rotation unless something's going awfully bad. Until guys get to that, like that pitch limit. Not I don't know pitch limit. Right? When they get their pitch, they get their pitch count up to
Right.
like where they want it to be, 100 something, whatever that number is. Because I think right now there's, and you can explain this better than I can, but there's still that rhythm of, for a lot of pitchers, hey, try to stay on a full week's rest. Let's incrementally take the pitch count up by 10 more. And then, you get to a certain point where, the pitch count's not going to rise a whole lot. But, that's still, I think, part of the consideration. I think it gets lost a little bit this time of year.
I think so. And when I look at Gackle, I think, well, he really didn't throw much in the fall. They really kind of did the Hagen Smith thing where they pretty much shut him down in the fall. So, he's still trying to get in his groove, I think. And so I'm still in on Gackle. I like it. I like the rotation. I like the fact that we got a lot of ways to get 27 outs. That's what I like.
Yeah, it's and like the fight to get on the mound right now is real. It's just 2 straight weekends where there's only been 3 relievers used, and the like with Fisher, he's going so long that there's really like Sundays a lot of times where you think you're going to need a deep bullpen, and that's where Arkansas has really not needed it at all.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy. And
At least the last 2 weeks.
You look at Sundays. Sundays tend to get crazy. Now we'll see when SEC play rolls around. But yeah, so far it's been a lot of guys sitting on there not getting in a game.
Nolan Souza, I wanted to ask you about his defense because he played third at least twice this last week, maybe 3 times. I think three times. He played third base 3 times. Played second base once. We talked about a little bit what you saw against Arkansas State, but now that you've had more of a a bigger data set to analyze, what have you seen from him?
No, I like him. I like how athletic he is and how quick he is. I saw something yesterday I haven't seen. He went to his left, and he went so far to his left that he was able to underhand the ball to Kozel at second for a force. I don't think I've ever seen a third baseman go that far.
I noticed it too.
I mean, he's so quick, and when he dives for a ball and he's up off the ground so quick, and his arm's still not where I still haven't seen him cut one loose, but I
thought he cut one loose yesterday though on the play where he dove to his right. Now it wasn't an accurate throw, but I thought that was a good sign for him.
Yeah.
Remember, he got up and he really let that thing go. A lot different than what we've seen on his other throws from third.
Yeah, I think so. I just don't think. I know what kind of arm he had before surgery. I don't know if he completely trusts it yet, but as far as the way he moves to the ball, creates a good hop. The double play they turned yesterday, a really good feed to Brumball. I mean, the feed was perfect, which is super important. It's always the first throw dictates whether or not you're going to turn 2 or not. And I don't know. There's just so many things, but I just like how his quickness. Now, I mean, Pompey plays great defense too.
Really
and,
good.
I do want to say something about Pompey. Even though he wasn't hitting, he never took his bat in the field. I mean, he went out there and played really good defense. But it's all about competition and who's getting it done. So.
There's still a role for him on this team.
No, yeah.
I mean,
it's early.
I think it's hard to hit, a whole lot worse than what he's done. I mean, he struck out in like literally half his at bats. 34 at bats. He's got 17 strikeouts. He plays good defense. There's value in that. 8th, 9th inning. Maybe you got a lead. You're trying to hold it. I think, and I say this, I feel like a broken record when I say this, but I just think a lot of the success that they've had over these several years, where they averaged 20 SEC wins and won the division a lot, won the conference some, it's because of the depth that they've had on their bench. I go back to like 2023 and think about Reese Robinette and the home run he hit against LSU, or Hunter Grimes and the play that he makes in left field to throw out a guy from, was it Texas A&M or Georgia, at home plate in the 7th inning and preserve a tie game. I mean, like there's still I feel like there are players on the bench who maybe you haven't heard from them a whole lot yet this year or at all, But I think that, there might be a play out there where you look back at the end of the season and say, hey, that was really crucial to wherever it was that you got.
Yeah, and think about it. Today he's going to get his eyes checked. It could be something.
Okay, so this is funny. I was talking to somebody in the press box about this the other day, where Matt Goodhart got his eyes checked after a bad start, got contacts, all SEC.
Yeah.
Vahiva Aloy, bad start, gets his eyes checked, all SEC. If TJ Pompey comes back and he becomes an all SEC player because he got his eyes checked and he gets contacts, isn't that optometrist some sort of miracle worker?
Yeah. I mean, you got to see. You think about it. When you ask a hitter, how'd you feel at the plate today? He doesn't say, oh boy, I was really turning the barrel good. My backside felt good. I was getting my foot down. They don't say that. What do they say? They say, I'm seeing the ball great. When you're hitting well, you're seeing the ball great. And if you're not seeing it, it's got to be hard to hit.
Yeah.
I played with a guy, played, what was he, 4 years in AAA. BP was unbelievable. He was fast. He was a center fielder. Played center, played left, play all over. His name was Rich Barnwell. Played at Pepperdine. Anyway, long story short, couldn't hit in a game. They finally, and they put us through eye tests all the time. But he had one eye. His eyesight was good actually, but he had one eye stronger than the other, so it threw off his depth perception. Got his eyes checked, got contacts, started raking, absolutely raking, and a few days later he tears his ACL.
Oh no!
Going for a ball in left center,
and
now he's an attorney in California.
That's terrible.
Worked out okay for him.
It works out fine. It almost feels like maybe they ought to make the eye check like when you get your physical. Okay, now you got that done. Let's come over here and check your eyes.
Yeah, I see younger kids a lot that I'll hit with them, and you see things that kind of lead you to believe that they're not seeing the ball. There's little ways you can test eyesight to see, and there's little drills that I can do. And sometimes you see a kid that he's just not seeing the ball. Now sometimes they just don't know how to focus on the ball, but sometimes it's something more serious than that. And I'll say, hey, you might want to go get his eyes checked.
Yeah, I mean it makes a big difference. Reminder: our baseball podcast is sponsored by H&R Tire and Auto. Local shop, been family owned for 3 generations. They've built a reputation on taking care of customers the right way. That kind of longevity doesn't happen by accident. Cam Kozel hit his 6th home run yesterday, Bubba. And I looked this up. It was his 11th game this year. He hit his 6th home run. Last year it took until his 27th game for him to hit his 6th home run. If you look at it in terms of at-bats, this year it was his 40th at-bat. Last year it was his 98th at bat when he hit number 6. The power just seems – he had power last year. He hit 15 home runs, 18 doubles. It just seems like it's a lot more consistent and a lot earlier this year than what we saw a year ago.
Okay, so you're Rain Man. You're good with numbers. What pace does that put him on for this year?
Well, I mean, it would depend on how many games they played, but, if they played as many games as they played last year, you'd be looking at a high 20 home run total.
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not good at math. But
I'd hate to say 32, 33. That'd be like Charlie Condon, Caglione territory. I don't necessarily want to put that kind of expectation on him.
It's funny when early on you start projecting things. Man, he's on pace to hit 75 home runs and, 200 RBIs. Talking about guys in the big leagues. But the thing I notice about Cam is, I mean, he's stronger. Obviously, that the maturity makes you stronger. But I think he's in such a good place mentally. And I watch at bats, and you've heard me say it a lot. You can tell a lot about a guy, just his demeanor when he steps up to plate. Like, watch his face. Watch his. A lot of times, your facial expressions. Like guys on the mound. There was a guy on the mound yesterday for UTA that just did not want to be there. I mean, his facial expression, he was like, get me out of here. And it showed. But you watch Cam at the plate, and I go back to the home run he hit on the 0-2 pitch against Texas Tech. He's just calm as he could be. And I think that's a lot of it, or I know that's a lot of it, is just his mental, where he's at mentally, where he's able to just slow everything down. And that's such a fun place to be as a hitter.
It's all the Gregorian chant that he listens to before games.
And the whole team ought to listen to that.
Yeah. You ever listen to that?
I have no idea what it is. Well, I know what it is, but no, I've never. Maybe I'll try it. Have you?
I've heard so this is weird. I've only heard it because I had a professor in college who he did this on the side. And so he made it part of his, I guess, his what do you even call that? His what he taught. I can't think of the word. My wife would be so mad at me right now because she's his curriculum. My wife's in that field. But anyway, he made it part of it. And so we'd listen to Gregorian chant as part of his class a couple of times.
Did it make you better?
No, it made me want to go to sleep. Honestly.
But it's good. He's got what I say about baseball players are creatures of habit. That's his routine, and you find something that works, you stay with it. I don't know what he writes in his journal. I've never even asked him. It's none of my business. But just the fact that he keeps a journal, he writes stuff down. I have a 14U team, and I have them write stuff down. At the end of the game, write down things. Good things. Write down something that you struggle with. Maybe you missed a pitch you should have crushed, or maybe you didn't make a play that you feel like you should have made. It's just I think it's good for people to write stuff down. I'm one of those, if I see it, I remember. You can tell it to me all day. If I see it, I'll remember it. If I write it down, I won't forget it.
We should start doing that after games. Like you could write, you could analyze how you did on a game broadcast.
I got Phil for that. Phil reminds me how I did, so I don't think I need to write it down.
I could write down. I should have finished 15 minutes earlier. So.
I will tell you, I lost focus a couple times yesterday. My
you were focused on
my
your
son's team was playing, and so there were a few times. There was one time, it was kind of a crucial moment on the field, and my son's hitting. And so, I'm trying to go back and forth. It's kind of like Brett Dolan did the other night. His daughter hit a home run, and he called her home run on the air, and I thought it was freaking awesome. So,
that's pretty cool. How about Chuck Barrett, by the way, gutting that thing out yesterday? He got back from Gainesville, I think, at like 2:30. Yeah. It was at the ballpark by I don't know what time, but like they were out there early getting those interviews done, trying to get on the air early yesterday morning. I told somebody yesterday. It was an 11 o'clock start time. Game was over at 1:20 or 1:15 or something like that because of the run rule. I said, I could get used to this in at 11, out at 1:30 thing on a Sunday.
Yeah. No, it was huge. I know Chuck was really excited. I ate a rally donut that last inning, so we get a couple more runs. So
you need to get home and get some sleep.
Yeah, Phil brought us some donuts in the booth, so I appreciated that. But, I know he was really happy about the run rule, so he'd get home.
How about Phil getting to call a women's basketball win yesterday?
Yeah, big win. Yeah, he texted me. So
they won by 29. Yeah. They hadn't won an SEC. It snapped a 16-game losing streak. It's kind of like they just took it out on that team that they were playing.
See, that's good though. Senior night.
Yep.
I mean, that's a good win. That's a good feeling. So I'm happy
and their seniors were the ones who had the biggest. Like Lee Mayberry's daughter, I think she scored 25 on her senior night. So
good.
That was a really neat deal for them.
Yeah, it's
happy
really
for
cool.
Phil.
Yeah,
that's
happy
hard.
Happy for Phil, but more happy for the team and
that's just
and
hard.
The coach.
Like I mean, if you're the play-by-play guy, heck, even like our beat reporter who covers women's basketball, it's hard going through a season like that and just trying to stay positive and upbeat and I mean, especially, and I would think that it's especially that way if you're a player. It's like it'd be easy to just this is the last game. We're gonna be out of here in a week anyway. But they still showed a lot of fight. I was really impressed by that.
Yeah. I've complimented Chuck and Quinn like during the Chad Morris years, and there's been some lean years in football.
Yeah.
How they stay so positive.
Yeah.
On the air, it's got to be tough. I've been spoiled. I started doing Razorback baseball in 2018, and
you're in the golden
we've
era.
had nothing but studs, and I mean it's been so much fun. I mean my job's so easy because I love the guys, I love the coaches, and it's love the fans, love the stadium. It's awesome. So I've had it easy. I can't imagine like the Missouri play-by-play guy last year. Or the color guy. Just I mean,
can you imagine how euphoric he must have been though when they went to College Station and swept?
How about that? That still gets me out of everything that happened last year.
Have you seen Missouri's record this year?
Yeah,
they're pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, at least based on the teams they played. I don't know how they're going to do in the SEC, but they've gotten off to a better start this year.
Yeah, but that going in and sweeping A&M their place is crazy to me.
Hey, real quick, ORU comes in tomorrow night. They got 3 former Razorbacks on that roster. There's Will Edmondson, who was an outfielder here in 2024, a couple of pitchers, Luke Williams and Jackson Farrell, who I think might throw a little bit in the game. They're both coming off injuries. They never pitched here, but they were on the team, and they redshirted. They're 5-6. Their midweeks have not gone well. They got beat by Missouri State 13-1. at Tulsa. Then they got beat by Missouri State 11-0 in Springfield last week. So I don't know what to expect out of this ORU team. I don't think it doesn't look like the same ORU team that came in here, obviously the year they won the World Series or in those years that were around that. But, it's a good program, but it does seem like they're down a little bit right now.
But it seems like when they come to Baum Walker, they always seem to play better.
They got a lot of kids from Northwest Arkansas, it feels like.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, you got the three guys who they were Razorbacks and they're not Razorbacks anymore. Remember when Hunter Wilson came back with them and hit a home run? And I don't know, it just seems like it brings the best out of those guys when they come back here.
I think it does, especially if they have a history here. And even if not, they just always seem to play well when they come here. Something about coming to Baum Walker gets the juices flowing for that opposing team. Everyone wants to beat us. There's kind of a bullseye on our back.
I'm interested to see how Arkansas is going to pitch this. We don't know, as we're talking right now, what the pitching plan is going to be. But, again, there's so many pitchers who need work. Mm-hmm. And there's only one midweek game to get them work this week. It's going to be interesting to see how do they play this.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if Peyton Lee gets the start or maybe DeCramer. Maybe they start DeCramer and give him 2 or 3 innings. Mm-hmm. Or maybe just let him run with it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I like DeCramer on the weekend. I think he's got weekend stuff, but it'll be interesting to see. I'm still in on Peyton Lee. I still like him a lot. Didn't have the best outing last week, but I still like him.
It was a good lineup he was going up against from Arkansas State. They put it on UAPB this weekend. Not a surprise, but they continued to play well. They're a team. Xavier's a team too. They won 2 of 3 at Cal State Fullerton this weekend. All these teams, I think they're very interesting to watch as they go along this season and just see how they do in their conferences. Once again, our baseball podcast brought to you by H&R Tire and Auto, proudly family-owned since 1976. Trusted across Northwest Arkansas, committed to keeping you safe on the road all season long. Learn more or schedule service at hrtireandauto.com. Bubba, appreciate you being here. You can hear him on the Razorback Sports Network tomorrow night when the Razorbacks play ORU. I say tomorrow night. It's a 3 o'clock first pitch between the Razorbacks and the Golden Eagles. We'll be back here in studio tomorrow to talk Razorback basketball, their loss against Florida, their upcoming game against Texas. Hope to see you then or at our website, wholehogsports.com.